Hey guys, welcome back to Contest Prep University. I'm Joe Klemczewski with Adam Atkinson. We're gonna cap the series right here, number 7 in this series on peaking pitfalls. We're gonna take a step to the post contest, and I will say, Adam, one of the most surprising things I ever saw was when I was a very young coach. I might have only been in my first or second year working with clients, and an equally young, inexperienced competitor. He was actually a teenager. I didn't hear about this until the very next week. His dad told me we had to hospitalize him. He, after the show, started eating and kept eating and kept eating and kept eating and had gained so much weight that he got into the situation of not just hypernatremia where your body's, you're drinking too much fluid and holding on to it, but because of the extra sodium and minerals and food and water retention, literal cell death was occurring. Cells were inflating so much because of that mineral deposition and hydration that cells were exploding and dying. And so they had to put him on Lasix and, drain fluid from his body. And I mean, literally hospitalized. It blew me away that could even happen. And then another client, maybe a couple years later, who was an adult who just was binging. Like he just, after the show, one meal after another, after another, after another. I walked in Monday morning. He was actually a trainer who worked for me, and he had gained 27 pounds from contest morning to Monday morning. And his head was as swollen and orange as a basketball with just that same kind of swelling. And I would say he probably would have benefited from being hospitalized and going through that same process. And those are the two most extreme cases I've ever seen. But how about you? Is this something that you see, and have you ever gone that far into a health dilemma?
I haven't had anyone hospitalized from it, but I've had many people swollen ankles just from eating too much post-show. I had a client who came from me from another coach who was hospitalized, and there was some diuretic use, so there's even more of a massive upswing with fluid change with that. And, he did his show with me and had no issues at all. So, it's really important to make sure, one, that your peaking protocol doesn't swing you in such a downward spiral on fluids and sodium that your body, excessively rebounds. But then also, you really have to have some self-control post-show. And everyone wants to eat something, but it can be really dangerous if you let it get too far out of hand.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've all had that experience. I remember one particular contest where it was just the perfect storm. I had competed. It was a lot of pressure as a pro, so I was probably, overdoing it on the dieting anyway. And then I took my family with me, and it was a show to travel to. And then we were on vacation. So now I had none of my normal structure and all of this food and all of this freedom. And it was a disaster. I just couldn't stop. And I was gaining all of this weight. And there was no health consequence to it except the fact that I was like, golly, man, after just a week, I looked like I never even dieted. And it was so disappointing. And so, for that reason, as well as the potential health ramifications, which are truly that dire, as Adam said, just plan this out, get in that mindset that, I've got more than this evening. I can have a little bit tomorrow, and I need to schedule this out. It really stick to that game plan. Talk to your coach, map this out, and make sure that you're doing something that you're going to be happy with, instead of just that day. The next week and the next week, you want to make sure that this is still a good experience for you moving forward.
Yeah, the food will always be there. And, especially don't do this if you have a show, in 2 or 3 weeks after. But, take your time on adding food back in. I had the same scenario where I did a vacation immediately post-show, and that was my second show. And I never planned a vacation after a show ever again.
Another thing is, as many people as would maybe just say, hey, I'm now done with the show. I'm going to take a break, kind of take a deload week and not train. If you're going to be increasing your calorie intake, maybe you can decrease the intensity of your training and all that, but still be very active, get some cardio in there. And I hate for people to do that pathologically, where all of a sudden they feel like they have to almost, pay for or make up for overeating. And it's this whole exercise binge purge cycle. Don't do that. but you can still maintain some activity and mitigate any weight loss after the show.
Absolutely.
All right, guys, hope that helps. As always, Adam Atkinson bringing all these topics to us. Just a great creative mind, ear to the ground, knowing exactly what competitors need. So I appreciate that, Adam. And you guys stay tuned for another series coming up in Contest Prep University.